Hello and welcome back to On the Break. I know it's been a while. It's been like 2 weeks. The boys had finals. We are focusing on school like some academic people. We're smart like that. Anyway, Mike is back. We are back, Mike. How have you been? How's it been going for you?
Well, the Eagles finally won a game.
They
It's
did
been
it.
a while. Snapped a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah.
But also the Cowboys won, so kind of got annoyed by all the disgusting, nauseating fan bases talking their mouth like on Twitter. But
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. But we had a good week of football. Wouldn't you agree?
This was a great week of football. This is like the best week for On the Break to come back to. I mean, there's a lot to recap here for this week
I would agree. I
14.
would agree.
And honestly, let's just get into it. You know how we rock. I mean, you mentioned the Cowboys. Let's get into that, man. The Cowboys and the Joe Burrowless Bengals. I mean, I know you just want to mention this really quickly because, the Cowboys putting up 30, only giving up 7 to the Bengals, who are led by good old Brandon Allen. You know him, right? He's very famous. He's a great quarterback, obviously. But, the Cowboys won a game that they were supposed to win. And Dallas is back, baby. Come on now. Here they are. But, Mike, what did you make of this game? I didn't really think too much of it, but I know you love talking about the Cowboys, of course. So let's get it going.
Well, of course I do, Makuch. And like you said, this is a game they should have won, and they did. They beat a 2-9 team, no, 2-9-1 team at the time.
Yep.
So if Cowboys fans are saying, "Well, the NFC East looks like we're not out yet," well, look at the rest of your schedule. The Cowboys are literally allergic to winning. They
Yep.
are. I don't know what the record is right now. I'm pretty sure they're like
They're
4-9.
4-9. They have San
4-9.
Francisco next week, your Eagles, and then the
L
Giants in the last game of
L
the season.
L. The Cowboys and the fan base too on Twitter, you guys are the most disgusting, most annoying, most nauseating fan base in the history of sports. I don't like any of you when you talk about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are not going to the playoffs. It's either going to be the football team or is it going to be the Giants? It's going to be one of those two. I'm not even picking my Eagles to make it this far. I would be very surprised if the Eagles make it that far. And if they do, I expect them to get knocked out in the wild card, blown out at home. These will probably be facing Seattle. So
Yeah.
not looking very bright for the Eagles or the Cowboys right now. So Cowboys fans, if you're thinking that Andy Dalton is going to lead you to playoffs, let me remind you, 2 touchdowns, 185 passing yards in the air. Do you really think that's playoff potential right there?
No.
Not really. And your defense is still god-awful. You still have that god-awful, trash defensive coordinator employed. So as long as he's still there, he's going to keep you out of the playoffs, and you guys are allergic to winning in the playoffs. You guys haven't you guys haven't made it to the divisional round in so long, or even to the conference championship since the 90s. So if you guys think you're going to go far all of a sudden, that's not happening. I won't even pick you to make it to the wild card. Easy.
Yeah, I don't see them winning the division at all. I do. We've been over this a few times. We see Washington ending up. We're going to talk about Washington later. We actually like them as a team. There's a team in the NFC East that we like. Let's just go straight to them. The Washington football team. Hopefully they get a name sooner rather than later. I don't know if I can stand another season of a team called the football team, but you know what? It's different. It's nice to say. It's better than the old name in my opinion, but I guess that's just me. Anyway, the Washington football team, the team with the logo W, the Cleveland Indians will be joining them in the nameless team. They're changing their name later on. But anyway, focusing on football, the Washington football team. Alex Smith had a not very good game. He left with an injury, whatever. But yeah, he threw a pick, 57 yards, got hurt a little bit. And, Washington, even despite any, mishap that they had or whatever they had against the 49ers, they still found a way to win as they do. Okay, you saw Haskins get in there. He did his job. He did what he had to do. And, the Washington football team came out with a win. They're 6-7 in a game that most people went into the season thinking, hey, the Washington football team is not going to beat San Francisco. But now Washington has a better record than the 49ers. Who would have thought? Obviously the injury train came right into Santa Clara and absolutely destroyed San Francisco this season. But you would think Nick Mullins and the crew would still have a shot. It's just sad to see this Niners team. I think that they'll be back and better than ever next year, especially if they can stay healthy with Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, and all those boys up there. I love Brandon Ayuk. I love the way he's been playing. I mean, he's been good. That's your boy right there.
That's the homie
But
right there. He's picked him up on the waiver. I think I drafted him in fantasy, and it's been one of the best picks I've made so far. So
yeah, he's been doing good. I like the way he's been playing, man.
I
I
love
love.
that guy. Great
Yeah, I
player.
mean, he's gotten a lot of looks that he deserves. He's
He
been playing
deserves it.
really
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
People are even saying that he might maybe next year draw more targets than Debo Samuel.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's
Better.
proved that he can be that guy, and Debo hasn't stayed healthy.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
talking about this football team, the Washington football team's defense, they are legit. This front seven is just unbelievable. Forcing interception, Nick Mullins keeping him in check, even though he's not really a threat in the air. I mean, although they couldn't really cap on Brandon Ayuk, they still got the job done. Their defense held this San Francisco offense to 15 points. That's pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, even with Nick Mullins in there.
Against an offense of that caliber too. So if Washington football team continues to do this, they don't need to do that much on offense either. They just got to move the ball a little bit. They don't need to do anything big. They just got to do what they got to do, you know? Alex Smith is just game managing his way through. And if this is going to be what their short-term success is going to be, then just so be it. Just Alex Smith managing this game, running the ball effectively, and just playing some elite defense. They are a top 10 defensive unit in the NFL this year. They're pretty darn good. I don't know if you can disagree with that. Like, just the way they just shut down this offense, they show potential right now. They're 6-7, and honestly, they are my pick to win the NFC East this year. Just like based on consistency alone, they are probably the most consistent team in the division, at least, you know?
Yeah, this is the same team that beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that we think is a lot of NFL fans even think is a little bit overrated at the least, but it's still a good win for a team like Washington. And Washington, with that defensive front, is a team that can win a playoff game. I really think that if they get the shot, they're going to get a home playoff game. I don't know how much that's going to matter, but they'll get a home playoff game if they get into the playoffs. I mean, the Eagles still got a shot, but the Giants could still get in there somehow. But Washington looks like a good football team. They have Seattle next week. I'm going to pick them to win Seattle, actually, if we do a preview of this, because Washington, they have a shot. They have a better shot than a lot of teams. They can still go 9-7 if they win out. I mean,
of course, like that's what I'm saying. This defensive front, this front seven is just absolutely like just nasty. They're wrecking games. Are like in this game too. They took over. They forced they kept Nick Mullins in check. They kept the passing game in check outside of Brandon Ayuk. And this run game really didn't do too much except just score maybe one touchdown on the ground. But yards per carry, they were kept in check.
They were kept in check. They really were. Now, I want to move on. I want to talk about a team that kept another offense in check, and you might want to get ready for this one, Mike. It's your boys, your Philadelphia Eagles. They won a football game. Get those shades on. Get ready for this one. Jalen Hurts, a guy that I said should get a shot. I didn't really think that he would be a starter. I didn't think that he'd be this good. I didn't have too much faith in him, but I believe that if given enough time, he had the potential. And the Eagles gave him plenty of time, and Carson Wentz, his bad performances gave Jalen Hurts a shot. And you beat the number one seed in the entire NFC, in the entire National Football Conference, number one team, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are now 8-1, with a better shot at making the playoffs. I mean, this was a huge win for the team. Taysom Hill, throwing a pick. Alvin Kamara, only 50 yards. Michael Thomas kept in check. This team did what they had to do. Miles Sanders running all over these boys. 24-21, Mike. You know the drill. I'm giving you the floor now. Talk about your Philadelphia Eagles picking up a big win.
Well, this defense definitely came to play, Makuch. I mean, Taysom Hill was kept in check. Alvin Kamara was mostly kept in check. Although Thomas got 84 yards on this Eagles defense, they kept them out of the end zone, which was probably the most important. And besides the Jared Cook touchdown, that was absolutely just unreal. I can't believe that happened. But also it's the Eagles linebacker core, so I'm not really surprised. But this defense really came to play. They showed up with 5 sacks, a fumble recovery, and they picked off Taysom Hill once. So I'm very impressed by this performance. I mean, although we got some defensive injuries now, Rodney McLeod's out for the season. Slay's in concussion protocol, though he's not having too great of a season. Maddox is out too. I mean, the defense really just keeping this team together. And finally, at long last, the offense showed up. Doug Peterson puts forward a game plan that I didn't expect him to do. He didn't have to force too many throws. He told Hurts not to throw when he didn't have to. He just had Hurts do a lot of play action, a lot of RPOs, a lot of rollouts, which he should have done with Carson Wentz. And Miles Sanders, I mean, this is what happens when you run the ball finally. When you actually run the ball on a consistent basis, you're going to win. Because this Eagles O-line, they can't pass block to save their life, but they're able to run block. As you could see, that 82-yard touchdown, I was out of my seat. That this should have been the game plan weeks ago, especially with a struggling quarterback and just O-line shambles and receivers not being able to separate.
Yeah.
Play action, RPOs. This should have what been the game plan should have been. And it just makes me wonder why this could have not been the game plan. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he wasn't crazy good, but he just did what he had to do to win, you know? He wasn't extremely accurate, but he did what he had to do. He did a lot of rollouts. He did a lot of short yard throws. And it was just enough to win and just beat the Saints team. And the Saints team obviously didn't have a lot of tape on Jalen Hurts, but I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, Miles Sanders took this game over. The defense showed up. And Doug Peterson just had a great game plan. So finally, I could say kudos to Doug Peterson for coming out with a game plan like this, especially with a rookie quarterback who people really criticize on his throwing.
Yeah. And I mean, I was a critic more on the accuracy. I knew he was good at making decisions. It's more about the ball placement, and
of course,
he fumbled a bit at Oklahoma, for sure.
Yeah, he fumbled actually against the Saints. He tried to do a sneak and he fumbled.
Yeah,
so
I mean, he still has to work on
right there.
But all these things are fixable. I mean, accuracy from a quarterback spot is a coachable and fixable thing, and it was coached pretty well. But it's more about this game plan than Jalen Hurts. I love what Jalen Hurts did. I'm very impressed with him.
That's why I'm saying too. Like, this game plan was just like what should have been done a long time ago, and it finally got put in action. Look what happened. We knocked off the top seed.
Yeah, a lot of this wasn't available, though, because you didn't have a mobile guy. Carson Wentz, he can move a little bit. He can scramble. He can make things happen. But when you have the threat of a running quarterback, a guy that can go down the field pretty quickly, it opens up the running game. There's more holes that weren't there before. And now Miles Sanders, who's a great running back, has a lot more open space to go. So this might be the way to go going forward for Philly. Do you see them bringing back Carson Wentz at some point in the near future? Do you see them sticking with Jalen Hurts? He'll start next week. But I'm more talking about next year. Is Jalen Hurts the quarterback, or are you going to trade Carson Wentz? What's going to happen?
I don't know what's going to happen at this point, but I'll agree with you, though, and kind of disagree. So I know Carson Wentz we've seen in the past years, or even at some points during this year, he's able to scramble. Obviously, Jalen Hurts he's faster, he's smaller, he's able to.
You can design runs with Jalen.
He's more nimble, he's more agile, and you could do design runs because it's not necessarily as predictable because Carson Wentz is kind of like that sneaky scramble, like he's more of a gunslinger. Like I said in the past, when I see him play, he reminds me of Roethlisberger and he reminds me of Brett Favre at some points because of how gutsy he plays and how competitive. But Jalen Hurts, like obviously he's faster, more agile. He's able to take these quarterback design plays, especially against a defense that really didn't have too much tape on him. So it kind of came to an advantage too, especially with Doug Peterson planning and this O-line being better at run blocking than pass blocking as it is. But in the near future, I think there's going to be a QB competition in the summer.
Yeah,
if they don't trade. I don't think Wentz is really movable right now because of his contract, but I wouldn't get rid of him just yet. I think it's a lot of coaching issues too. There's something going on in that organization that need to fix. I would fire Howie Roseman, honestly.
Okay.
He needs to go. The GM needs to go bye-bye.
Yeah.
Because we had honestly, if I'm going to be blunt, the Eagles had no reason drafting a quarterback last year. They were more focused on getting a linebacker, which obviously we need now because our linebacker core is probably one of the worst in the NFL. And we should have drafted a receiver when we had to, you know?
Yeah, so, I agree.
I think there's going to be a competition if Wentz stays. But I think Wentz is very fixable. You can't just go from an MVP candidate and playing like a top 5 quarterback the last 3 years to them going to a bottom 5 quarterback. That makes no sense, you know? That it just doesn't happen that easily. I
It
think
does.
that Jalen Hurts has a future here, but I think that defenses are going to figure him out a lot quicker. And since
Okay.
he's a rookie too, they're gonna figure him out very quickly. They're gonna know his tendencies, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the way that the Eagles are going forward with Hurts. I think Hurts starts the rest of the season. I think he should get a
Yeah.
shot, get some experience. But like I said, I think defenses might find this guy out very quick. Just
Yeah,
like
they
what
might.
happened with Lamar Jackson. They know that he's a running quarterback. He still can't throw a ball to save his life. I mean, he made a couple, we'll get to that game. He made a couple good throws yesterday. But just in general, throughout the season, we didn't know him we haven't seen him really play well when he's been a pocket passer. He's not a natural pocket passer. It's more
Yeah,
of
I
a
mean,
running.
these guys can all work on it.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
seen it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, of course,
But
exactly. But yeah, just like how people have figured out the Ravens offense this year, you could agree. People have figured out the Ravens offense this year.
a lot easier than before. I mean, you're not going to see Lamar be MVP again. You're not going to see
Yeah.
that. I
Oh
mean,
no, no, he's not. He is nowhere near the
but we'll
MVP.
see when Jalen Hurts hits that peak from the mobile quarterback standpoint, because a mobile quarterback is a lot easier to stop than a non-mobile quarterback whose main focus is his arm. But Jalen Hurts' main quality is
Main
his arm.
quality.
That's the difference between him and Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts has a very large running quality. He can run a lot. But Lamar Jackson, when he came into the league, his main focus was running from the quarterback spot. Jalen Hurts is a guy who can be a pocket passer. We saw him
Yeah,
do
of
it at
course.
Alabama.
I
We
think
saw him do it at Oklahoma.
he's definitely a much more natural thrower than Lamar, but
Yeah.
accuracy is also an issue. So I think
Yeah.
when the opposing defenses start to figure him out very quickly, he's
Yeah.
going to have a problem, and this is going to lead to turnovers. So I'm cautiously optimistic right now, but I hope for the best for Jalen Hurts.
For sure. One more point. You know who else had huge accuracy issues coming out of college? A guy by the name of Josh Allen. He just beat Pittsburgh. So we'll get into that game in a bit. But anyway, you want to mention another game. The Rams and the Patriots. Forgot to mention Thursday Night Football in the beginning. I know you love to talk about it. The Rams, they got their revenge for the Super Bowl. Sean McVay, he took that personally and held the Patriots to 3 points this time. It was the other way around from the Super Bowl, and a lot more points scored by the Rams. The Rams look good. The Patriots, not so much. Cam Newton looks like a shell of himself. Unfortunately, we were rooting for him, but now the Rams are 9-4. They might be the front runner for that division. It may come down to Week 16, the Rams and the Seahawks. That's going to be a massive game for this division, and it's huge. But the Rams, they keep winning. The Patriots don't look like the Patriots anymore, and it's sad to see. But, I mean, just really quickly, before we get into that Josh Allen game, what did you make of that before?
Rams defense is elite. Cam Newton is garbage.
Okay.
And the Patriots are just a shell of what their former selves are. The defense is not as dominant. They need to run the ball more because the Patriots have shown that they could run the ball effectively. And obviously Cam Newton is more on running the ball than throwing the ball. And that interception from Cam Newton, that was probably one of the worst throws I've seen all year. Like, he threw it literally right to the linebacker. He literally was like, "Oh, here, have it." Like, it was awful. You know, Cam Newton is definitely a show of his former self. He's just not good anymore. He's trash. He can't throw the ball to save his life. He has I think he has 5 touchdowns and 10 interceptions on the year. That's literally like one of the worst ratios in the league. That's awful.
Yeah, 5 touchdowns is tied for 33rd. 10 interceptions tied for 25th. QBR, he ranks 29th. He's not hasn't played
awful.
too well.
He's playing not too well. He's playing awful. I feel bad. I feel bad for Belichick because he's playing with an inept quarterback right now.
Yeah, first time in a long time.
I would pick Baker Mayfield over Cam Newton right now.
That's pretty obvious.
I don't really think that's too much.
That's a pretty obvious pick right there. Baker Mayfield's playing like at least a top 20 quarterback from you. But you know, over the past few games he's played well, man. Cam Newton has not at all.
No, Cam Newton's trash. He hasn't played well all season. You can't really say one good game he's had or one decent game or great game.
Nope.
You know?
I mean, you got to remember the guy had COVID, so maybe it's something from that. But he wasn't playing well before that either. Once they figured out this college style offense, it was kind of over, you know. But the Seahawks game was probably the last good game that we might ever see Cam Newton play in the NFL.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that was a good game. It wasn't great, but it was.
It was good enough MVP Cam is gone. But
Cam is gone. He's washed
I think he has a place in this league. I think he has a place in the NFL
as a backup.
as a backup quarterback. I want to see Cam in the league, but I mean, for a team like the Patriots, yeah, he could play, but there's not a lot of spots for Cam anymore in the NFL. He's a little washed. I'm not gonna lie. Those injuries hold him back. He hasn't been the same ever since. But
Hey, don't
I
hold
love
back.
watching.
Hey, Makuch, don't hold back. He's washed.
I said washed. I said the guy was washed.
You
But
said
it's a
little.
product of the
He's
injuries.
washed.
It's a product of the injuries. Okay,
True.
but
You're right.
yeah. But again, Cam Newton, he's washed up. All right, I'll say it. Guy who's not washed up just yet. He's getting there, but not yet. Ben Roethlisberger. His team is now 11-2. If Cleveland won last night, it will be a game away from losing this division, basically. 2 interceptions for Ben Roethlisberger. Josh Allen putting on a show, at least according to Chris Collinsworth. But Josh Allen played very well against the Steelers. He had a very good game on Sunday. Josh Allen. 10-3 is Buffalo. They look like Super Bowl contenders. They were a team that a lot of us saw as a dark horse. I don't know if they're a dark horse anymore. I think they're just a front runner at this point. I think it's them in Kansas City and everybody else in the AFC. This team looks really good. We'll see. I mean, they're going to beat Miami for the AFC's crown. I'll tell you that right now. Josh Allen looks like a stud quarterback. Stephon Diggs is a top 10 receiver. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary is a nice 1-2 punch duo when you need them to be. And this defense is an absolute stud. It's everybody on this defense is studs. They have the second best corner in the league, Trey White, sometimes the best. And I mean, the Steelers, we knew they were frauds. Okay. Once we saw Juju dancing on other teams' logos and then you lose the game, we saw that coming. It was cool when you did it against Jacksonville, Juju, and you win the game. If you back it up, it's cool. If you don't back it up, people are going to get on you for it. And it puts the rest of your team at a different expectation. But,
Makuch, the only thing that's underrated about the Steelers is their TikToks. That's the only thing that's underrated.
Underrated. Chase Claypool was a good TikTok.
Everything about them is overrated as hell. Like, their offense is overrated. Big Ben is definitely past his prime. He's getting to the washed phase, sadly. Been a great quarterback, had a great career, but as you see, he's starting to deteriorate in a way. He didn't really do much. Under 200 passing yards, he tossed 2 picks, 2 touchdowns, just did what he had to do. Josh Allen put on one hell of a show. I mean, although the stats may not show that he was flashy, he made a lot of big-time throws. He did what he had to do. He put this team on the back. The running game didn't really do much on the ground. I mean, Stephon Diggs absolutely destroyed this Steelers secondary, who I said since midseason that the Steelers secondary is overrated. I thought their front 7 was the one that kept that defense together. As you can see,
it showed.
Stephon Diggs literally tore this secondary up. I mean, although a lot of people will say, "Oh, they didn't have like the rest of their secondary," well, they're overrated. They lost the football team. Now they lost to the Bills, who they should have beat if they were a front runner. I think they're probably the biggest pretenders right now.
Yeah.
Now they're starting to play the good teams, or probably like the top seeds, and now they're starting to lose to them. So a lot of Steelers fans like to say, well, it's just like a couple bad weeks. This is the kind of game in prime time. This is the kind of game that they need to win, and they didn't.
Yeah.
But as I say for the Bills, though, they look pretty darn good. I've liked the Bills since they hired Sean McDermott. Their defense is an absolute stud. I love their defense. Their defensive team is really, really, really admirable. And they really went into this offseason. They put together a really good offense. The 1-2 punch is great. Stephon Diggs is an absolute beast. You could say even he's a top 5 receiver in some aspects.
Yeah.
Right now, just by production alone.
Oh yeah.
And Josh Allen, he's just continued to show that he could be an MVP candidate, or he could be almost a front runner at some points.
He showed that he could be a future Hall of Famer. That's what he's shown. I mean, if you play like this when the lights are on you. That's what
exactly. You could say that. And like I said, I've liked the Bills. I like them to go far in this playoff season. I think that the Super Bowl drought for the Bills might be over soon. Who knows?
I think it'll be over within the next 5 years.
Maybe they may not win a Super Bowl this year, but their playoff drought, that's by the end very soon. I think they're going to blow right through the wild card. I'm really liking where the Bills are going. I think they're a slept-on team, and they're honestly one of my favorite teams in the NFL. So
Yeah, they're always fun to watch. I mean, their fans are crazy. We can't wait until Bills Mafia can return. Not this season probably, but next season hopefully. Bills Mafia will be right back to smashing tables, and they'll have plenty of reason to do so with a team like this, a team that can probably win 12 games this season. They are looking stout. They're looking like a contender. Now, my only problem with them is they'll have to play Kansas City. And that's not going to be fun. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Monstars or you're MJ with Bugs Bunny. I mean, you're going to have trouble playing against this team. The Water Boy couldn't even tackle Mahomes probably, but Buffalo and Kansas City is going to be the AFC Championship, in my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen. And we'll see what they do. I hope Buffalo gets it done. And I think that Kansas City's still going to make the Super Bowl this year. Josh Allen still has to get playoff experience, and this is going to be a big year for him to do so. By 3 years from now, maybe even less, Josh Allen will be good enough. He'll have the experience. He'll have enough under his belt to propel his team to a Super Bowl victory. And Buffalo, after losing 4 in a row with Jim Kelly has said Josh Allen is going to break all of his records, and he just might. Josh Allen, you will be a Super Bowl champion within the next 6 years. I'll guarantee it for you. And just because I said it, you're probably not going to do it because I'm usually wrong. But it's all right. It's okay. Now the Steelers. I'm going to just go through their schedule really quickly over these past 11 wins. They played the Giants, the Broncos, the Texans, the Eagles, the Browns, the Titans by 3 because of a Gostkowski missed field goal. Then they played Baltimore, they played Dallas, they played the Bengals, they played the Jaguars, they played the COVID-ridden Ravens and only beat them by 5, and then they lose to Washington and Buffalo. After 11 games, they finally play a real team. They barely beat the Ravens before. I think everybody should have saw this coming. I mean, the only time you played good teams, it was a one-possession game. And even when you played bad teams, it was a one-possession game. You were a good throw away from losing to Dallas. You were a few plays away from losing to Baltimore. You were a kick away from losing to the Titans. And, I mean, you only beat the Texans by 7. This team isn't real. I was hoping the Browns would win last night, so the Browns will win the division instead of the Steelers because, I mean, they deserve that. The Steelers don't deserve that home field. The Browns have been playing better than the Steelers. I think the Browns are going to beat them in Week 17. I do think so if they keep playing.
They probably will. If they run the ball effectively, I think they will.
And based on how this defense has been playing for Pittsburgh over the past few games against real football teams, they probably will. Nick Chubb is a top 4 running back, and he's going to run all over this team. And then if he doesn't work, you got Kareem Hunt. So
they top 3. Nick Chubb is an absolute monster.
This is true. The Steelers, they'll go 12-4. They'll lose to Indy. They'll lose to Cleveland. They'll beat the Bengals because they don't have Joe Burrow.
Yeah, they're definitely going to lose to Indy. That's a definite. That's a lock, you could say.
Oh, they'll be 12-4, and they'll win a division. Woohoo! They'll lose in the first round because the second seed has to play in the first round this year.
They're going to lose. They're going to lose to the first round. I can book it.
I'll book it. I don't care who you play in the AFC. If it's Pittsburgh, Miami, I'm picking Miami by 30. This team, the Steelers, they're good. They're a good team. I mean, give them credit where credit's due. They can beat teams they're supposed to beat most of the time. But, again, they're always a few plays away from losing. And when you go to the playoffs like that, usually doesn't translate to success. We'll see if they turn on some kind of switch. But if you keep dancing on other teams' logos, that's not going to work for you, especially when teams got hard.
Especially when Juju is not on the same par as T.O.
Not at all. Not at all. T.O. could do it because he was T.O. He's a top 4 or 3 receiver ever. So Juju, he's not even a top 10 receiver in the league at the moment.
He's a wide receiver too.
Yeah.
He's not even a wide receiver one.
I like Juju, but not that much. So we'll see if he turns it on. Juju loves fumbling, I will say. Again, great name, great guy. But put the work in.
Yeah, he's really messing up the Juju for the Steelers.
Yeah. Good one. We love good puns here on the break. But I will say, we have been waiting for this game for a very long time. It's been a very anticipated game. And, I mean, NFL fans have just been sitting here, watching the calendar, marking their calendar for this game. The Falcons and the Chargers. I can't manage the clock, and I always blow a lead bowl. 17-20. I will say about this game, what we expected to be a blown lead. Let's say the Falcons up by 20, the Chargers come back. What I forgot was that if you have two negatives, they cancel out, and it didn't happen. Okay, both of these teams do not know how to manage the clock. Matt Ryan, throwing 3 interceptions. Justin Herbert outplayed Matt Ryan. You heard it here. Austin Eckler had his game. Calvin Ridley balled out. Austin Eckler was the leading receiver on this team. But, I mean, they're both 4-9. Does anybody care about the result of this game? No. But the actual product on the football field, watching Justin Herbert ball out, the offensive rookie of the year got to play. He won a game. Anthony Lynn is not a good clock manager. I'm more leaning towards the firing him based on his clock management so far. I do like part of him as a coach. I think he deserves to be on a staff as a defensive coordinator, but not maybe as a head coach, because that clock management is worse than Andy Reid, and Andy Reid makes up for it with play calling. So, what did you make of this game?
Well, couldn't really care less about it. That's all I'm going to say. And doesn't really affect any playoffs. So any playoff seeding doesn't affect it. So, yeah, let's just move on.
We're moving on. We love to see it. Yeah, let's get – you know what? Let's knock out the games that don't matter. How about that one? Let's see. 40-3. 40 points. He only scored 3. The New York Jets are a bad team. I don't think anybody would deny that. The Jets suck. Was there any positives for the Jets this game?
Well, Crowder only went for 7 yards, and when everybody was hyping up that he was going to literally torch this Seattle secondary, they didn't do anything. I feel bad for Sam Darnold. He is under probably the worst coach in NFL history. Adam Gase is god-awful, trash. I think you and I could probably coach an NFL team better.
Probably.
Even like somebody, or maybe like one of my relatives at Thanksgiving who don't know anything about football, probably could have coached better than Adam Gase.
The old Pee-wee coaches could have done better.
Pee-wee coaches could coach better. Just Adam Gase is god-awful. He needs to get fired. I would fire him right now. I don't know why
oh my God.
they're keeping him. They should have fired him a long time ago. Seattle just destroyed the Jets, as they should. But, I don't know. They're still in the rebuild. This offense needs to be rebuilt. Sam Darnold just needs to leave New York. I think he needs to start somewhere new. They don't seem to really appreciate him as much.
Pittsburgh.
But yeah, Sammy D needs to just leave New York. Like it's just not a fit for him right now. This team is just god awful.
I feel very bad for future Trevor Lawrence, who will be a New York Jet most likely, although I think they should trade the draft pick. I will pray for you somehow. I will find a way to make sure that you don't go to that team. I just hope that Trevor Lawrence is not a New York Jet. But because 2020, a guy who could be the best quarterback ever, if given the right situation, will not be. Because guess what? He's going to be a New York Jet. Anyway, the Broncos and the Panthers, Drew Lock, had a good game. Yes, Drew Lock played well. He hasn't done a lot of that this season. He should have been doing a lot more, but he's been hurt. Had a little bit of iffy. But 5-8 Broncos, 4-9 Panthers. Any takes from this game besides, wow, Drew Lock wasn't that bad?
Well, this is just one of the games where Drew Lock will do good. He will literally try to joke you. He will try to play you for a sec.
Yeah.
So he'll say, "Oh, I'm actually not that bad," but then he'll just suck for the other games. So Drew Lock, I still think is a below average quarterback.
Okay.
He has a lot of problems going on for him. This offense could take off. The running back situation isn't that great. Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay aren't really showing out. They're not really giving much help on the run game. But he has able receivers. Tim Patrick's on the rise. And you got Jerry Jeudy, who's turning out to have a quietly impressive rookie season. And you can't take advantage of that. And Noah Fant, are you serious? And KJ Hamler and Noah Fant, are you serious?
Portland Sutton will return next season.
The weapons outside of the backfield are pretty darn good. I would say this is a pretty good offense if they had an able quarterback to take advantage of it. And obviously today Drew Lock did, but also this is against a Panthers team whose defense is not really impressive. They're not they're a low average defense. They're not that good. So I'm not really impressed by this performance. If he's able to do this against a mid-average team or a good team, I'll start listening. But they need to figure out their QB situation. Drew Lock is still pretty below average for me. That's all.
Well, they play Buffalo next week, so we'll see if he can prove it, like you mentioned. Now, quick question: do you think Drew Lock can develop into a quarterback that's consistent in starting? Do you think he has potential, at least?
Maybe.
He's better than a lot of Broncos quarterbacks in the past. In the past 5 years, I mean, you've seen Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler. He's miles ahead better than those guys.
And
So
Trevor,
I think he's
yeah, of course.
yeah,
But
Trevor Siemian. He's better. He's better than those guys.
I will see. I don't really have too much opinion on Drew Lock. Don't really care for him. So,
all right.
Don't say about it. I mean, I hope. We'll see.
Yeah, for Denver.
But just based on the season alone, you have a better offense around you. You should be able to take advantage of it, and he really hasn't. So
he should prove it when Cortland Sutton returns. He's the best receiver out of anybody that you've mentioned so far. Also, a random note: Giannis just signed a 5-year deal. We'll move on. I mean, he's back. Now we'll head down to Wisconsin. After that, I mean, that's just a sign to head to the Packers game. Giannis 5-year deal. Okay, whatever. Anyway, we'll probably get into that one in another episode soon enough. Anyway, the Packers and the Lions, just a quick one about this. The Packers only won by a touchdown. That was kind of weird. But Matthew Stafford suffered a rib cartilage injury, and he may not play. He may play, he may not play. He's a tough cookie, but we'll see if he can fight through that injury. Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdowns. DeAndre Swift came back, scored a touchdown. I didn't start him because I wasn't playing him on a bye week, but Devontae Adams did his thing. Amendola is your leading receiver for Detroit. Is there anything that you can make of this game that matters besides the Packers clinching an NFC North title? Did we learn anything about the Packers? Did we learn anything about the Lions? What do you got?
No. Lions still need to rebuild. I'm surprised the Packers only beat them by 1 possession. They should have blown them out. But
a little concerning.
It's still good. You still dropped 31 points. You did what you had to do to win. You clinched the NFC North. We'll see where the Packers go. They're probably the best team in the NFC at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, they're up there. They're up there. Their run defense needs a lot of work, but I think that they can get there. As long as you got Aaron Rodgers, you got a shot to win the football game. Okay, that's how the NFL works. If you have quarterbacks, if Patrick Mahomes, if you have Tom Brady, if you have Aaron Rodgers, you have a good shot at winning football games. I think that's pretty simple. Anyway, the Colts and the Raiders. My Colts. They had a show. They had a time. They had a lot of fun out there. T.Y. Hilton caught 2 touchdown passes. I think he's playing pretty well this season. Later, he had a rough start up until, a few weeks ago, but T.Y. looking like T.Y. again. And if he's back, this offense is going to be dangerous, especially with that running game. Jonathan Taylor looking good. Every week for the Colts, a different running back plays well. 1 week it's Taylor, 1 week it's Hines, 1 week it's Wilkins, 1 week it's T.Y. Hilton running for some reason out of the wide receiver jet sweeps for some reason. But this team, this defense. We all saw Kenny Moore's interception. I got everybody fired up in Colts Kingdom. I mean, that one-hander, he snagged it. He absolutely snagged that. That's the best interception I've seen in a few years.
Kenny Moore is slept on.
Kenny Moore is one of the best young corners in the entire NFL. Okay?
You could say
and
that.
he's a dog. I love Kenny Moore.
He's having a breakout year. I've never slept on Kenny Moore. I thought he was going to break out, and this is the year. Kenny Moore is playing like he ain't playing games. He's just having such a solid year. Just great year from just an amazing interception. Probably better than the one that Xavier Howard did on Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think Indianapolis is such a slept-on team. A lot of people like to talk about, like, the AFC playoffs. They just don't count out the Colts. The Colts are a great overall team. They got a great defense. Their offense, their running game is fantastic. Yeah. T.Y. Hilton is back, finally. After a hiatus, he just comes from the heavens, and he is resurrected. He is back, baby.
And the Colts went 8-4 without him playing well. And now look at him.
Now all of a sudden, T.Y. Hilton has resurrected from the ashes, and he is back.
So has Phillip Rivers. Okay. We were hoping Derek Carr would rise from the ashes. A lot of Raiders fans, but he's not.
Yeah, but the Raiders have a lot of problems, especially on their defense. They just fired the defensive coordinator.
Oh, my God, he's bad.
I think the main problem for this team is just their defense for the Raiders. I feel bad. Their offense looks great for the Raiders. It's just that their defense is awful. Yeah. 44 points allowed to the Colts. And, I mean, the homie Nelson Aguilar all of a sudden just has a 100-yard game and a touchdown. Like, I don't know. Every time somebody leaves the Eagles, it just they pop off, and guess who popped off now? Nelson Aguilar. So
Nelson Aguilar, we was catching him, unlike Aguilar. That's one of my favorite clips of all time. But for Eagles Kingdom, I mean, we all saw it coming. if you leave the Eagles, for some reason you pop off. You know what? It more rings true when you leave Adam Gase, or in the Miami Dolphins case, when you get his ass out of there. They fire Adam Gase a few years ago. You got Brian Flores in there. Looks like one of the best coaches in the entire NFL. He's one of the best young coaches coming from that Belichick system. And, they didn't win the game. They were up on Kansas City, and they forced Patrick Mahomes to throw 3 interceptions. That's probably the most amount of interceptions we're ever going to see Patrick Mahomes throw in a football game. Okay, three interceptions. That's like his entire season total leading up to that point. He had 2 interceptions coming into the game. He threw 3 in one game. Come on. This team looks good. If they got a little bit more offense, or if they were able to stop Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, they really stepped up for their quarterback, who wasn't having his best game, but he stepped up later on too. But Miami, you're good. You're able to compete with Buffalo going forward in the next few years, but not this year. Okay, I do like the direction you're heading in. You have a nice young team. I do. My thing about Miami, I don't see a lot of scenarios that puts them over the top of teams. I see them kind of staying at this 10-6, 11-5, maybe winning a playoff game. That gives you enough chance to maybe win the Super Bowl, but it's not going to be enough to beat teams like Kansas City. This is probably the best performance we're ever going to see them play against a team like Kansas City. I don't see them beating Buffalo in their own division. They'll beat Pittsburgh if they play them, but that's Pittsburgh. If they play the Browns, that'll be a close game. If they play even the Ravens, that'll be a close game. Miami's good, though. I do like the way they've been playing. I like Tua so far. He's had a lot of bright moments, and he will continue to have a lot of bright moments going forward in his future. The Chiefs, though, they're 12-1 still. They're still the best team in the NFL, in my opinion, and I don't think anybody else would deny that, because they're Kansas City and they have Patrick Mahomes. And if you have Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be a good football team for sure. Any special takes from this game? What do you got?
Like you said, Chiefs are definitely the best team in the league. I don't think there's really any disagreement there.
Yeah.
Patty Mahomes definitely had his worst game of the season. Although he did kind of come back a little bit at the end of the game. He did what he had to do to get the pull out the win. But yeah, that 30-yard sack was absolutely unbelievable. I can't believe Patty Mahomes did not throw it away. So, but of course the announcers were like, "Oh no, yeah, like it's not his fault. It was just the linebacker was quick. It's just his fault." Just admit when an elite quarterback makes a mistake. And he did. He tossed 3 interceptions in that game, and they were like, "Oh no, it wasn't really his fault," and everything. But that's for another time. But
yeah, they won the football game. They came out of Miami with a W.
Yeah, but Miami's a good football team. They showed up this year. They broke out. The only thing that really needs to get put together and develop is this offense. That's the only thing that really needs to develop. This defense is elite. They're a top 10 unit. This defense is good. They're a good defense. Obviously, when you're playing a team like Kansas City, it's difficult, Yeah,
exactly.
It's a difficult offense to stop. Like, if you got the W against this team, that's great. But, yeah, this defense is good. They have a very bright future ahead of them. And like you said, I do see them being a good team, but not like a great or elite team just yet.
Right.
They're not that developed yet.
They need a lot more than, let's say, a Buffalo.
Should be optimistic, because they do have a very bright future ahead of them, and I'm really excited to see what Brian Flores can do with the team.
Yeah, they should have a lot going. They have a lot of good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot of good is coming their way. Now, there's a few teams that are left on here before we get to the Monday night thriller. You have the Texans-Bears. The Bears absolutely blew at the Texans. Texans haven't played well this season. The offense didn't show up. We are not surprised. I'm not too surprised that the Bears put up 36, because this Texans defense has not showed out this season. The Texans are a dumpster fire, as are the Jaguars and the Titans. Any of those two games give you a surprise?
I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's really just trying to do all what he could with this team, throwing to nobodies. Reminds me of Wentz last year, throwing to nobodies, trying to make the best out of nothing. But they're really doing Watson dirty right now. They just need to sit down with him. They just be like, what can we do to help you succeed in this league? Because Watson has a very bright future, but right now they're undermining his potential. So I'm really hoping that they can do what they can to bring Watson some weapons, at least, since they traded away his best weapon he probably could have in his career, almost. But
Yeah, they trade away DeAndre Hopkins, didn't get offensive
I
line.
am surprised, though, that the Bears' offense was able to drop this many points because this Bears' offense is offensively challenged, as we call them to be. Because Foles and Trubisky cannot move this ball to save their life. But,
not at all. But here we are.
It is. They just had a good game plan, good game, and that doesn't really change much. Bears are not in the playoffs, neither is the Texans, so it doesn't really affect it, Just another W.
Yeah, the Jaguars aren't making the playoffs. We know this. They lost to the Titans. I mean, hey, Derrick Henry ran all over them.
Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. So good. You don't sleep on A.J. Brown. This man's a beast.
Never. I saw a tweet. There was a quote. Someone said that A.J. Brown is Terrell Owens. A.J. Brown quotes the tweet and says, "No, I'm A.J. Brown." I love that so much because, hey, he's not trying to be the next T.O.
A.J. Brown is a beast. He is a beast.
That's the mindset you should have. That's the mindset you should really have. Anyway, the Cardinals beat up the Giants. Good job. Proud of you. Proud of you guys. Good job, Cardinals.
Daniel Jones is turnover prone as ever. They're going to probably have a quarterback controversy going into next season because Daniel Jones is just continuously giving the ball like it's Christmas to all the defenses in the world. So
yeah, fumbling. That's Daniel Jones.
He's kind of like the Oprah of the NFL. You get a turnover, and you get a turnover, and you get a turnover. That's basically at this point.
All day with Daniel Jones. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's really going to be in New York for that much longer. A lot of Giants fans have hope. His turnovers. I like his decision-making a lot of the time. He either makes really good decisions or he's really bad. He's trended more towards the bad this season, and for that reason, I'm out on him. But hopefully they'll get a new quarterback. Trey Lance. Yeah, you like it. Yeah, I know you like it. Maybe look at Trey Lance. Maybe look at Justin Fields. But again, I'm out on him. Now, the last game from Sunday, the Vikings and the Bucks. This one's a little more interesting. The Vikings needed to win this game for their playoff push, but so did Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay with Tom Brady was able to get the W. Minnesota. I know you have a lot of words to say about a certain Minnesota player. I think we all know who it's going to be. Let's see. Kirk Cousins played against an actual football team. What usually happens when Kirk Cousins plays against an actual football team? I'll give you a second. He loses. Mike, what did you think? Yeah, he chokes. Oh, my God. He just he didn't have a terrible game, but
Kirk Cousins is the choke artist of this year. Kirk Cousins is just challenged when it comes to playing good teams. I mean, I'm not saying the Bucs is an elite team. I do think that they're susceptible to kind of choking the Bucs. Yeah. They're not, like I said, they're a great team, but they're not elite. They're not top. I wouldn't say they're top 3 in the league.
They still need to work together. They still need to work at what they have.
Their offense is with all the weapons the Bucs have, they should be able to just blow anybody out of the water and everything. But it's just that you've seen the Bucs play against elite teams. They can't pull out wins, Tom Brady is you could say Tom Brady's a little washed. I mean, he kind of is.
I don't put this on Tom Brady because, look how old the guy is.
Exactly. He's washed. There's nothing you can do with a 43-year-old quarterback.
Here's the thing.
You could do something with Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins does not deserve that $84 million deal that he got. Dalvin Cook is really just the centerpiece of this offense.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying the Vikings have a great chance of making the playoffs. They could do a wild card. Well, this game did not prove anything or just really help them at all. I mean, their defense is a former shell. Remember when the Vikings were a top 5 defense? They're
they lost a lot of pieces.
They're a bottom 10 defense right now. They're not that good. Yeah. Their run defense is awful. They're just not – basically, the NFC North's run defenses are just trash. They're not good. Detroit run defense, Green Bay run defense, and the Vikings run defense. They're all not good.
Yeah, Chicago's the only one that shows any semblance of competency. Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady just did what he had to do. Under 20 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. He just did what he had to do to win. Scotty Miller, he did have a beautiful dime to Scotty Miller. That was a great play, great throw. Beauty. That was a beauty of a throw.
That was Goat Brady.
And from the weeks before, when we seen that the Bucs defense were actually they're maybe not as good as people think they are. This Bucs defense is finally returning to form. They're starting to be what they were. They're looking better. They're progressing week by week. They shut down the Vikings defense. They won the game that they were supposed to. And now the Vikings playoff chances, they're looking kind of low.
this was the nail in the coffin for the Vikings' playoff chances to me. I
This
don't
is
know about you.
definitely nail in the coffin. You could say that.
Yeah, I think they're done. But here's the thing: we like to say Tom Brady's washed, but if 3,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions is washed, that's what I want to be at 43. So
there is something called Bruce Arians that could
yes,
that. Bruce
I
Arians
think he's.
is an underrated coach.
I think Arians is pushing him, yet also holding him back because their relationship isn't that great at the moment. They still need to kind of iron out a lot of kinks if they're going to stay together going into next season. But if this Bucs team misses the playoffs, it's probably going to be Bruce Arians' head before Tom Brady's. I'll say that right now. But
I mean, Tom Brady is on a 2-year contract right now, and the way the Bucs are built is temporary success. If you get what I'm saying, this is 1 year. This is like Super Bowl or no. This is what that's the Bucs thing right now, because next year they're not going to be able to re-sign all these players that they built just for 1 year. They got
it's like your Eagles' dream team.
They got O.J. Howard. They got Gronk. They got Chris Godwin, who's going to be a free agent, and they got Mike Evans and Tom Brady. There is no way in hell you're going to put that team to return next year. There's no way, especially when Godwin is going to ask for a contract that he very well deserves.
He'll deserve it. And maybe someone else will give it to him, but we'll see if he gets it. We'll see if he does deserve it for sure. But it's going to take a while. We'll see. We'll see what the Bucs do. They could either disappoint or make some noise. It's a flip a coin with this team.
Yeah.
Now, finally to the main event, as we conclude this show, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns play their highly anticipated game last night. This is being recorded on a Tuesday. Monday Night Football. Always a good time with Steve Levy on the call, who had a very questionable performance doing the play-by-play, but we're talking about the game itself. And this was a duel and a half, 47-42. There was a safety at the end of the game that covered the spread. Shout out to anybody who betted that spread. I mean, I'm sure seeing that ridiculous safety on the end of the game was very hype for you, but this was a game for the ages. Lamar Jackson, though. He only threw 17 passes, and his team scored 47 points here. 9 carries, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. And the Browns defense, okay, that is the reason they weren't able to win this game. This Browns secondary and linebacker corps, mostly the secondary, is just my God.
Their defense.
Their D-line is fine. Just, you have the best. You have Myles Garrett. I mean, look at Myles Garrett.
Allowing Lamar Jackson to go 9 carries for almost 130 yards is fine.
That's not a D-line issue. Because the way he worked, I mean, there was a lot.
You could say front seven, and also allowing Gus Edwards and Dobbins to go for 3 touchdowns. That's definitely just a defense problem in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole product, but again, your secondary and linebacker core, when you're on the goal line like that, they have to come up and help push. I mean, they're not doing it. They're not doing it right.
I've never seen a secondary so hot and cold. I've never seen a secondary so hot and cold.
I don't think I've seen them. I don't think I've seen this secondary hot at all this season. This it's been pretty bad, except in those bad weather games where quarterbacks can't throw. This team has not looked very good.
Their safety group is awful. I'll say that.
Yeah. Sendejo, I didn't hate him in Minnesota, but he needs to be cut. He needs to be cut next season.
He was with the Eagles. No wonder we cut them. Good. Yeah. Good thing. I'm very happy because he's not good.
The Browns, they should draft all defense this upcoming draft. They don't need offense at all. I mean, Baker Mayfield is actually performing with the weapons he has so far, especially against the Titans, especially against his Ravens team. I know you hate to hear it. I know you specifically hate to hear it. But Baker Mayfield, I'm going to tell you a story. I don't know if you know this story. It's Baker Mayfield putting on a show and then losing because his defense can't hold up. Let's see. It might be on my head. That happened in Oklahoma about every season. I don't know if you watched the 2018 Rose Bowl, anybody out there, playing against Georgia, having Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, his future teammate, run all over his defense and lost the game. But, I mean, you're not looking too happy over there. You're not looking to get what you got. What do you got to say?
Well, I've always thought Baker Mayfield was overrated as hell, but I got to give credit when it's due. These past few weeks, he hasn't played bad. I mean, this game, he definitely did all he could. I mean, on the last drive, he had some cute checkdowns that Kareem Hunt turned after running after the catch. And I've always said Kareem Hunt is a threat for
Always.
after the catch. He absolutely those 2 passes that he threw to Hunt, that was like 20+ yards per gain. I was like, Jesus Christ, Kareem Hunt is a beast.
I mean, at least he's utilizing the weapons now. He's actually
Exactly.
using them.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Baker Mayfield at long last is no longer in the. I mean, I don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood, Makuch, especially you. Knock on wood. Turn around and knock the wood on the all over your dresser, your desk.
I did. I got it. I got some right here, man.
Because once you think that Baker Mayfield is going to be good, he just goes right back to ineptness and mediocrity. That's the cycle of Baker Mayfield. But right now, like
he's
I said,
broken the cycle so far.
I gotta swallow my pride, and I gotta say that I gotta give Baker Mayfield credit when it's due. And I did text you, Makuch, yesterday. I remember I did say,
yes,
if they lose this game, it is not because of Mayfield. And that is the first time in a while saying that. Because back in the past, we have said Baker Mayfield has lost the Browns a lot of games, but this defense of the Browns, like, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, even I've criticized.
I don't know if it was like the safeties, like, I don't know if they had a mid-game stroke or they just broke down in coverage. I don't know what's the explanation. How do you let Marquise Brown get like 20 yards of separation from the safeties when it's like and I'm pretty sure the coverage was like cover 4 or cover 3. How in the world did he get that open?
I remember watching it. It was like a linebacker and a corner or a safety run into each other.
Safety, like, I just don't understand how he got that open. I'm just like, I think it was a cover 3 concept. I don't remember. Go watch the tape if you want to see, but it was a cover 3, a safety deep in a corner dropping back to cover that area and just covering a deep zone. But I just this defensive coordinator just needs to go. Like, Greg Williams has just not had a great stint with the Browns. His defense is just.
Yeah, I mean, Greg Williams is. I mean, he's been with the Jets too. Greg Williams was with the Jets now.
It's 1-7. Oh my God! I thought the Browns would have been better in the trenches, but I mean, Gus Edwards has 2 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure they were at the goal line. Dobbins had a touchdown. I think all 3 of them were at the goal line. I didn't watch the entire game, if I'm going to be honest with you. But to allow Lamar Jackson to go 130 yards on 9 carries, and 2 touchdowns, just. Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of plays where Lamar should have been sacked.
After the first touchdown, you would be like, okay, the Browns are going to readjust. No, they didn't. They allowed another long one. Like, that was just absolutely unreal. Lamar Jackson didn't even have a flashy game. He almost, right before when the game came down to the wire, he had more rushing yards than passing yards.
Yeah.
Typical Lamar Jackson this year. Better as a running back than a quarterback, in my opinion. But at the end of the game, he took advantage of just a god-awful secondary that was just playing like some trash.
Yeah.
Playing as if they were like pee-wee football kids running around, not knowing an idea of what cover 3 concept is or cover 4, and just blowing that big play to Marquise Brown, who had 2 drops that game. He wasn't good. And all of a sudden, Marquise Brown just smokes the secondary. I'm just like, just unbelievable. But Lamar Jackson did what he had to do. He had to win. John Harbaugh took advantage of this awful defense by the Browns. This Browns defense went from pretty just good to awful. I can't. Like, I just look at some of the tapes and the highlights. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. They allowed that.
I have a question for you. Was Lamar cramping, or did he take the Browns to the Super Bowl?
I'm pretty sure that he took the Browns to the Super Bowl, and he took it right out off the field into the toilet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe Baker Mayfield down the toilet too. I mean,
Baker's got to clean him up now. He's got to protect his own.
For Baker Mayfield, 343 yards. Okay, I'll give credit to him, but I'm not sold on Baker Mayfield yet. If he could win a playoff game, I will. I can't really say that. I was gonna say I will buy a Baker Mayfield jersey if he wins a playoff game, but it's too much. You know,
it's too much money. You could buy one from China, maybe, but
maybe I could get it like from one of the sweatshops.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've seen jerseys for like $20.
Or I will hold a paper up that says Baker Mayfield is out of the Baker Mayfield cycle.
Yeah, I think he's broken at the very least a cycle. Again, I'm not too sold on him being like a top quarterback. I don't think he'll be a top quarterback, but he's been pretty good these past 2 games against
He's
really
done
good
what he
football
has to do
teams.
to win. He's had, I think this is his first turnover or interception.
It was his first interception in 5 games. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'll give credit when it's due. Finally, at long last, Baker Mayfield is consistent. But don't get sold yet because maybe
Yeah.
he's playing with us. Maybe the football gods are playing with
Maybe.
us. But
I mean, the interception he threw was a great play by Tyus Bowser, I will say.
oh yeah,
I mean,
Kevin. It was just a good
yeah.
bait. It was just he baited. I mean, it wasn't really great though, but he just baited him really well. It was just
if Baker throws the ball a little bit better outside, it's not an interception. But Stefanski, I remember seeing in the press conference after the game, Stefanski said that one's on me. I called, that was a good play call, but they got me. That was just a play call. It was a design throw over there quickly, and that's what happened. But we move on anyway. But the Browns, they look good. I think they can win a playoff game depending on who they're matched up against, and we'll see who they end up playing.
Yeah, yep. All you gotta do is just RPOs with Baker Mayfield and just run that ball with Chubb. Chubb is just gonna eat.
Nick Chubb, I think they should have gave him the ball a little more. He only had, he had 17 carries.
They should have given the ball a little bit more. Nick Chubb is the top 3 running back right now. Now, even the top 5, top 3 this year, top 3 running back. He is balling out.
I'll give him top 3. All right. But either way, it was the game of the year, no matter what the result was. I think Browns fans should be optimistic going forward. This is the best the Browns have been in a very, very long time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, Stefanski's turned this team around, and the Browns are just trending in a good direction right now. I mean, just running the ball effectively. I mean, Nick Chubb 2 touchdowns, and Kareem Hunt had a rushing touchdown too. And even Baker Mayfield, he had for the long time, he made a great play with his legs, ran that ball into the end zone. He just really fooled that defense. It was a great play by him, and this is probably his best game this year. I'm gonna be honest with you.
In terms of being clutch,
the Bengals game, but the
Titans game.
But it was just because the Bengals defense is just trash. Their secondary is not good. But against a Ravens team, against a division rival, I think this is his best game of the year for Baker Mayfield.
Probably.
I'll give him credit when it's due.
He's had quite a few good games this year. He's had more good games than bad games this year. He's under 10 interceptions. He's thrown less interceptions than Tom Brady. Okay, I'll give him that one. Come on, now.
Tom Brady's.
I know. I'm joking. I'm messing around with you. But anyway, unless if you have anything else to add, that might do it for us.
I don't really have anything else to add. We'll just hope that week 15 brings another week of exciting football for us to talk about.
Hopefully, but usually when you have a week this exciting, it's always a little disappointing afterwards. But we are coming down to the wire, and it's going to be a lot of clinching, a lot of playoff implications going on, and we'll see. We may just preview it. We'll find out what happens. But anyway, it was fun being back with you, Mike. Thanks for coming on. As always, we are on the break, and we're back, baby. Come on now. This is it. This is On the Break. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you all later. Have a good one.